Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to Child Development Podcast, a podcast that discusses and shares information on the importance of investing in child development, particularly in the formative years between 0 and 5 years. Remember that the purpose of investing in child development is to develop competent human capital for the future of the nation. It is only through this investment that the nation can have a critical mass of creators and innovators, people with a growth or positive mindset. To have a growth mindset does not come naturally. It requires investment from different angles or perspectives. In season 1 of our podcast, our focus was on the foundations of early childhood development, where we dwelt on the brain development during the first 1,000 days, importance of nutrition in brain development, cognitive development in children, and language development. In season 2, our theme was parenting tips for supporting cognitive development, where we discussed various parenting styles and how parents need to get involved in bringing up the children as part of the investment in human capital development. Today, we now enter season 3 under the theme Early Childhood Education Essentials. Episode 1 under this theme is Role of Early Childhood Educators. There's no better way of starting this season and the theme of episode 1 than inviting a person who actually practices it. So my guest today is an early childhood education ECE teacher by the name of Madam Royce Namukonda. Royce is the last born in the family of 8 children. She did her primary education in Akonde, her birthplace, and advancing to do her secondary education at Cheston Secondary School in Lusaka. She completed her secondary education in 2009, and in 2011, she went to Pagurare College of Education in Kabwe, where she obtained a diploma in early childhood education, graduating in 2013. Upon completion of her diploma program, she joined the private sector and taught at Bedland School as an ECE teacher, where she was up to 2019 when she joined the public service. She has been in the service for 11 years now, teaching all grades from ECE to grade 7. She's currently teaching grade 6 class at Tunduya Primary School in Lusaka. Royce is a mother of 1 son, and she feels strongly about playing her part for the next generation and building strong foundations. Royce plans to go for a degree next year. I am your host today, sitting on the other side as an interviewer. My name is Professor Kavwanga Yamba, Human Capital Development Expert. Teacher Royce Namukonda, welcome to this podcast, and thank you very much for accepting to be part of this journey of sharing to the nation about the importance of investing in human capital development. First things first, welcome, and just share with us, why did you become an ECE teacher? I'm asking this question because most people think that ECE is simply time and place where children play and do nothing important. So first, why did you decide to become an ECE teacher? And second, why ECE? Is ECE really important?
Thank you very much, Professor. I'm very delighted to be part of this podcast under this topic. Why choosing to be an early childhood teacher? Well, in the first place, I was inspired by my grade 1 teacher way back in Akonde. And she actually made me love school with the way she cared for us and how she taught us. I was totally inspired by her. And I always wanted to be a teacher. And I remember when I went to college, I also wanted to do something to do with children. And I chose to do early childhood education. And I did so because I knew how important the foundation is. Yes. Hence, joining the ECE.
That's good. So you were one of the lucky ones who went to ECE. Some of us were not that lucky.
Actually,
we just went straight into grade 1, primary school.
I never did ECE.
Oh, you didn't do ECE?
No, I did ECE as a program.
Okay,
Yes.
all right. Okay, I see what you mean.
I equally started school in grade 1 and never attended early childhood education.
Oh, wow. Okay. So, so how do you think, I mean, how do you feel that you are not able to attend ECE and yet you know how important it is? I mean, many of us didn't have that opportunity or privilege.
Oh, yes. As important as it is, many people have not had the privilege to attend early childhood education. And we have seen actually the effects of it.
Yeah.
Having handled a grade 1 class, interacting with learners who have been to early childhood education centers and those that come straight from homes, we are able to see the difference and also the significance of early childhood education.
Right.
Yes.
Well, some people still think that, well, this is not important.
It is actually very, very important.
Because, you know, even from the investment point of view, I'm talking about funding of the ECE. If you look at the entire education value chain, I recently attended a webinar where somebody presented the findings from the research that they did, that funding is least at ECE level. And then things begin to improve as you go to primary, secondary, and tertiary. So investment at that level in terms of funding is very low. It's the least. What can you say about that?
Well, that would be very sad if it is really the least. But I want to make mention as well that this time ECE is being recognized in our country.
Yes.
Yes, it is coming up even in public schools. And it is actually receiving the support, though not to the latter. Like we are saying, we need to invest more in ECE because there's a lot that is involved, which is different from grade 1 going up.
Indeed.
Sure.
Yeah, certainly we do commend the government for, you know, ensuring that ECE is coming to the limelight because, in my view, this is where it matters most because unless we invest heavily there, then we do not have the human capital that we need later on to make sure that the economy is running effectively and efficiently and everything else. But anyway, back to our topic this today, the role of early childhood educators. Yeah. What role do ECE teachers play in childhood development?
Well, ECE educators play a very important role. Actually, they are the major personnel that we need in the teaching and learning of these learners. And the roles that these educators play, the first one is making sure that these learners that are coming from home adapt to the school environment, love school, and enjoy learning through play. Yes. And not only that, the ECE teachers who love to make sure they provide an environment that is friendly for the learners, even as they do it through play. Because as you may be aware, that early childhood education is done through play. And so the ECE teacher has a very big role to make sure that the environment is conducive
Yeah.
for these little children, and also that they enjoy and love school.
Right.
Yes.
Now, you may want to comment, just to add to what you have said, on how this play contributes to the cognitive, social, emotional, and physical development of the children. Yeah. I mean, we're talking about your role as an ECE teacher.
Yes.
And you've mentioned that, mainly it's through play and so on. So how does this help the child or the children to develop in terms of their cognitive function, in terms of their social, as well as the emotional development?
All right. So through play, learners are able to develop skills, different skills. So we have different games that the learners do play. And each and every game has an attribute, has a skill that we want the learners to develop in.
Yeah.
Mentally, physically, emotionally, and even socially as they are playing. There are a variety of games that we do play with the learners that will make them develop.
Yeah.
They'll think they're learning. Meanwhile, we know that they are acquiring certain skills and they are developing in those learning areas that we want them to develop. For example, the building blocks. These, as they are playing with the building blocks, learners will not know that they are actually learning about construction. As they are building the car, the house, they are learning that skill, yes. Then also mentally, there are other games that a child will have to think in order for them to play. You put some dots for a child to jump or cross, and the child will have to think, I have to jump to this dot, from this dot to another. That is reasoning, that is cognitive. There are other games that the children love to play. As they are playing together, they will be interacting. That is social development. So through play, really, learners learn. And that is actually the center for early childhood education.
So in fact, you are preparing these little, people for the future.
Exactly.
Wow.
We are preparing them and equipping them with skills, like pre-reading skills, pre-mathematics, language, and also physical.
Right.
So we are preparing them such that when they go to grade 1, they will have acquired those skills as they begin the formal education there. They will have acquired these skills, which will be very easy for them to break through and go on with higher grades.
So in fact, you are preparing them for problem solving.
Exactly.
Yeah. Because, in life, human beings are there to solve problems.
Sure.
There are challenges everywhere, every day, and we need to solve those problems.
Exactly.
And therefore, it is important that we are prepared when we are young, not so.
Yes.
Because that's the time when the brain can adapt to anything. There's this attribute that is called neuroplasticity, meaning that, time when the child has the highest absorptive capacity. And so it is very easy to shift things. Anywhere you want to direct the child, it will be very easy for the brain to shift to where you are leading them.
Exactly.
And, so when they are old, it becomes difficult.
Very difficult.
Yeah. Okay. Well, that's great. You mentioned mathematics.
Yes.
I do have a friend of mine.
Yes.
Who is a mathematician. And I'm mentioning this because many of our people in the population don't like numbers. Or maybe say many of us who don't like numbers.
Okay.
And possibly because we were not prepared enough. Would that be true?
Exactly, yes.
Yeah.
Probably we were just introduced to numbers and we were wondering, what is this? But when it comes to ECE, we don't first introduce them to numbers. We introduce them to objects. As they are manipulating those objects, now you begin to introduce a number. And having introduced the child to an object, a real object, as you begin to introduce a number, it will be very easy for a child to relate an object or objects to a number. And so we don't just bring mathematics right there and then. Actually, even mathematics, they are learning through play, like I mentioned. For instance, if you give them border tops to sort according to colors, you put a variety of border tops in a bucket or in a plate, and you ask your learners to sort the border tops according to the colors. That is mathematics I'm teaching to the learners. As they are sorting those objects, border tops, according to the colors, that is sets already. Yes.
Okay. Let me just finish my story about the friend that I talked about who's a mathematician.
Okay.
He thinks that you need to introduce the real numbers very early. When the child is just born, you can start teaching them how to count. You simply say 1. That's all you say. 1. So every day you are saying 1, then you move from 1 to 2, and so on and so on. Because, children hear.
Oh, yes.
As you know, hearing begins in the womb. They don't begin hearing when they are born.
Sure.
They begin hearing in the womb. So he thinks that you can actually introduce just the real numbers by mentioning them when they're just born, or even when they're still in their womb.
Exactly. We actually experience that.
Yes.
As we receive learners from home, they already know numbers.
Yes.
Children are able to tell you the numbers, though not understanding the values.
Yes, of course.
Yes. So you find that they learn these numbers even from home. And it is quite true that you can introduce these numbers to them even as early as 1. Just as they are learning how to talk, they can also learn the numbers.
Right.
Though they may not understand the value, we'll come and teach them the values when we come to ECE, where we now match the number to the value of the objects. Yes.
Oh, great. Okay. Madam Royce, just share with us, the learners, the listeners and the viewers out there about curriculum development as early childhood educators. How do you go about designing the curriculum and how do you implement the same?
Okay. So the curriculum paid attention to the needs of the children between 3 and 5. Yes, and they paid attention to the needs of these learners, their ability as well, and came up with this curriculum that we are implementing. And apart from that, also ECE teachers go further and implement that curriculum, not just implementing it to the latter, but also because they handle these learners with different interests and different abilities. Some may even go an extra mile from the curriculum. So the teacher is the best person, actually, the ECE teacher is the best person to design the curriculum and implement it according to the needs, abilities, and interests of these children. And the curriculum that we're using currently is designed in a way that it equips these children with the pre-knowledge and skills, as well as the development that these children need from 3 years to 5 years. We teach them also, this curriculum has the pre-reading skills that they learn, also the cognitive development, the activities to cater for all those developments, cognitive, social, emotional, as well as physical. It is catering all those needs that a child needs to develop in as they grow.
Right. Okay. Now, I know that it is very important for you as educators to pay individual attention to each child. And I think you've already alluded to that. It's critically important. Now, I do realize that we also have our own challenges in schools. I'm talking about how many children that you handle. What is the appropriate number that you would handle for you to be most effective to ensure that you are paying attention to each and every learner?
Well, that's a very good question. I would say the best number in a class for ECE that I would handle perfectly would be 25. 25 learners.
But I know we are way beyond that.
Way beyond because of free education. And not only that, even in private sector, even as we try to cater for many, many children, we find ourselves handling 50 ECE learners. But for my school, we only have 35 learners in a class.
Okay.
Yes.
So obviously if you're handling 50 or even more, that obviously has got a negative impact on the
very much
learning.
It really has. The teacher won't really pay attention to every individual because remember also have limited time. And with ECE, if I am to monitor their coloring, I have to do it one-on-one. The reading, everything that I'm doing except the time when they are playing. But when I am teaching them and I want them to concentrate, I really need to do it one-on-one to make sure I monitor the child's concentration and well also understanding of what I'm teaching them. And so we really need to have reduced numbers for the learning to be effective.
Absolutely. I think, Royce, what I think is many people do not associate early childhood education with the economy. In this podcast, our aim is to share information, that relates to everything else that happens in the economy. Okay? Where you've got people who are critical thinkers, you've got people with a growth or positive mindset, you've got people who can create and innovate and all that, so that the society experiences good quality life. All that is associated with where we began from, not so?
The foundation.
The foundation.
Very important.
Many of us have missed it.
Yes, we have really missed it. But I think we are now coming to a realization that surely we need to begin well. Even a house that doesn't have a proper foundation, it is destined for collapse. It would definitely collapse. But if our learners, we can invest in the foundation of these learners, equip them with the knowledge, the skills that they need, and help them develop whilst they are young in pre-education, then we are going to have better adults. Because from the foundation, if the foundation is strong, even as they are growing grade 1, going to higher grades, they'll go with the same foundation. And those that will be handling them in the other grades will just be adding on to the foundation which was laid. And that will give us very positive and different adults in life, who will be capable of solving problems and not running away from problems.
Correct.
Yes.
I like that. Solving problems.
And not running away.
It does not matter what problem.
It doesn't matter.
And not running away.
Exactly.
Wow. I like that.
Sure.
So it means that there must be many ways of solving the same problem.
Yes.
If this way doesn't work,
try another way.
Try another one. It doesn't work, try
another one. Until you manage.
You solve the problem.
Yes.
Wow. I see ourselves giving up all the time. There comes a small problem, we just get knocked down. And we have no solution.
We must change that, Professor. We really must change that. And it is at the early age when we begin to nurture our children. To become critical thinkers. And be solution providers.
Solution providers.
Yes.
Yeah.
There's so many ways of training a child to solve a problem. So many ways.
Right. Okay, now, obviously before children come to school at that level, early childhood education, they are coming from home, they are at home.
Yes.
Because I think you only receive them when they are 3 years old, not so.
When they are 3 or 5.
Okay.
Yes.
So meaning that from 1, 2, they're at home.
Yes.
So, as ECE teachers, do you collaborate with families where these children are coming from to make sure that the parents are also doing their part? Because if they are not doing their part, then you also cannot be as effective as you should be. What do you think?
It is very much obvious, Professor, that we have to collaborate with parents. We are partners in raising and educating. Yes, we are partners with parents in educating the children. So even as they are coming to us, the parents need to give us information about this child.
Yeah.
Before I even start learning this child, I need to get some first-hand information from their parents. Probably the allergies that this child has. Okay, my child is like this. Oh, she doesn't eat this kind of food. All right. Then as I educate and attend to this child, I'll also be discovering some strengths in this child.
Yeah.
A lot of things that I'll need also to relay back to the parents. And so we are partners and we collaborate on a daily basis on the well-being of a child, the progress, the development of this child. How is the progress of this child? Where can parents come in and help so that the child develops at the pace that we would like to see this child progressing?
Well, I'm very glad about that. And I like what you are saying, that you are partners in development. Just like, at home, parents also may have caregivers there.
Exactly.
And I always say that, those caregivers are also partners in development with the parents. So that is, and is it actually happening? Is it actually happening that you are in touch with the families on a daily basis?
We are very much in touch, Okay. Because normally these early childhood learners are brought by parents at school or by family members, and sometimes even picked by their family members. So even as they come to pick the child, we'll call out a name. Oh, Blessings, your brother's come to pick you. Or mommy has come to pick you. And we'll relate. If at all there's anything that would want to inform them about the child, we'll still contact them. If we can't meet them physically, we also have contact numbers where we communicate with them on a regular basis. Yes. We definitely collaborate with the parents.
Oh, fantastic.
Sure.
And I think it is very important that everybody learns from what you are doing. Those who have had misgivings about ECE, I think they should get to understand that this is where everything begins from. This is where it matters most. Currently, our country and the continent as well, Africa, there are a lot of challenges that we are experiencing. And I tend to think, in fact, the scientific truth is that many of the challenges that we think are problems are not problems at all. They are symptoms
of the problems.
Of the problem. Is that a correct statement from your point of view as an ECE teacher?
Oh, yes, it is.
Yeah.
And so many of the things that we are seeing now, if we pay attention to them, we will realize that they are not a problem, but there is a problem behind that, which we need to solve.
Which we need to solve.
Yes.
Right.
And early childhood education is one of the solutions.
Right.
I just have one issue with the environment. We have adults that are not responsible, sorry to use this term. Some adults that can litter anywhere. They'll finish drinking water and throw a bottle on the road or in the drainage. And the only thing that comes to my mind is that they were not trained.
So that's a symptom, right?
Yes, it's a symptom already.
It's a symptom. And, many times I find myself asking myself this question. Can I condemn this person who's just throwing, littering like that? My answer is, well, I'm not happy with what they are doing, but I cannot condemn them because I do understand.
Yes, their background.
Where they are coming from, they didn't go through what you're talking about.
Exactly. So now we've taken it upon ourselves as early childhood teachers.
Yeah.
Even where environment is concerned, we are teaching our learners to care for the environment and also teaching them the effects of not taking care of our environment. We'll have diseases, we'll have floods because the water will not be able to drain because the drainages will be blocked. And because of that, we'll face the effects, which will be very harsh. So we are thinking, if these children can grow up with that mind of caring for the environment, even when they are adults, the environment will be cared for.
Absolutely.
And we'll have solved the problem.
Absolutely.
Over these issues that we are facing because of that.
That is how we shall solve this problem or these problems.
Going back to the roots.
Which we are calling problems, but in fact, they're simply symptoms.
Of the problems.
Of the problem.
We need to dig back to the roots of the problem.
Wow, I like that. But as we wind up, the physical environment that you provide in your facilities, is it conducive enough for developing children in all these areas that you've talked about? I mean, just the physical environment, the classroom and the outside and so on. Just that environment, because it also plays a critical role in the development of a child. If a child is seeing dirt around, that is what sticks in the mind. Yeah. If the child is seeing confusion around, that is what sticks, life. And so on and so on. But are you providing the best environment? I mean, let us be realistic here, because I know that when we look at the entire education value chain. As I mentioned, I attended a webinar recently where it was reported that funding when you look at the different stages of education, I think funding is not great.
It's not adequate.
ECE level. Yes. So the physical environment, can we do better?
We can definitely do better. What we are doing can never be better enough, but we can do better than we are doing now. We are trying our best, but it is not best enough. Yes, we're trying to provide this conducive environment for these learners in ECE, but like we are saying, it is not enough. An ECE classroom needs a lot of things in it. Yes. We need a bed in ECE. When the child is tired, we can't force their mind to learn for a longer period of time. A child is tired, the child has to rest. We also need an environment outside where they're able to, a play park.
A play park.
Yes, a play park is very important for the learners.
Because they need to develop physically.
We need a lot of toys in a classroom. We need a television set in an ECE class. Whereby after teaching, I can even play cartoons for the learners. And they'll be learning language from the cartoons. And so many things. But as we are now, we cannot say we are doing enough. We can do better.
We can do better.
So even the funding really has to increase. Actually, somebody was saying, if I was to pay the teachers, the ECE teachers, I would pay them more than the secondary teachers. Because believe me, this is a child coming from home. You equip this child with pre-writing skills, language skills, and you develop this child, making it very easy for higher grades to ride on.
Absolutely. In fact, Royce, what we mentioned elsewhere, especially outside Africa, that is the case. The teachers at that level, they are highly paid. Even in terms of qualifications, I know we haven't reached there. But we have to start thinking about it. The minimum is a bachelor's. In some countries, minimum is a master's.
For an ECE teacher.
For an ECE.
Exactly.
I came recently. I learned that in a couple of countries, you have to have a PhD
for you to teach an ECE class
at that level.
Oh wow!
That is how important. That's the investment that you
we're
need
talking about.
for ECE.
Yes, because you really need to understand the minds that you're dealing with. It is not easy to
Absolutely.
handle these children,
Absolutely.
little ones. And, just for you to put them in a learning mode from home, some of them come crying. And as an ECE teacher, you need to bring them closer to you, play with them until you tune them into the learning environment. And then you begin to teach them. Even amidst your teaching, there will be so many teacher this, teacher that. Believe me, it is very tiresome, but it is very interesting. Dealing with these angels, yes.
Okay. Do you have any last words as now we close this episode, Teacher Royce?
Oh, yes. It could be an advocacy kind of.
Advocacy.
Advocating for proper early childhood education in our country, Professor. Believe me, if we invest in early childhood education, we'll not have the problems we are having today.
Yeah.
And not only that, our learners will be at another level.
I agree with you.
Yes, we will be a grade ahead than others if at all we invest in early childhood education.
Yeah.
And so it could be an appeal to the relevant authorities, as well as people that can come on board and fully support this kind of education. And also to the parents that are watching and probably they feel like early childhood is just a sheer waste of time. I'll be wasting my time taking this child to school, going to pick this child up. I have to wait until the child is able to go on their own. Please, no. You have to invest. If it means you taking the child and going to get the child back, do that. It is the best for your child.
Absolutely.
Sure.
So, listeners and the viewers out there, you heard for yourselves. Please do not despise ECE teachers. I know instances where I've heard it myself. People say, he or she is just. That's what they say.
Just.
It's just
a preschool teacher.
Just a preschool teacher. Wow. Listeners, viewers, that is where it matters most. That is where it matters most. That's the window that creates real creators and innovators. Thank you so much once again, Teacher Royce Namukonda. Ladies and gentlemen, thank you so much for joining us out there. Please feel free to send your comments to us so that together we can build our great nation and Africa as a whole. Thank you so much.
You're welcome.